event. Firstly, I'd like to request for you guys to please keep your microphones muted during the presentations in order to avoid any background noise. Secondly, if you have any questions during the presentations, please feel free to use the chat box, but please note that we will have a Q&A session later on, and then Spiro will be in charge of the chat box and attending to your questions. And then also please note that today's session will be recorded. So if you miss anything or would like to revisit anything at a later stage, the recording will be made available to you upon request. And then if you experience any technical issues during the event, please contact our organizing team in the chat, mainly Lincoln, Tando, or Pabalo, and we'll make sure to assist you as quickly as possible. And then please also feel free to share your thoughts and experiences on social media using the hashtag AIMSLaunch2024. And then lastly, let's remember to keep the conversations respectful and inclusive as we come together to celebrate and learn. So with that said, we're excited to begin the launch. I'd like to introduce my co-host, Mrs. Puseletso Lesofe, who is the co-founder and the director of AIMS, and she'll just take over from us. Thank you.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining today. My name is Puseletso. I'm also a medical scientist by profession. My job is simple, is to welcome everyone and to also introduce you to the chairs for today's meeting. Number one, who is also a registered medical biological scientist and a lecturer and PhD candidate at Stellenbosch. She is interested in the development of lab diagnostic assays. And the second chair that we're going to have is Ms. Nombuso Mkize. She's a medical scientist by profession, registered as an independent practitioner in immunology. She currently works diagnostics in the areas of renal transplant. So these are going to be chairing today's meeting. Thank you. We hope that you learn a lot today and also have fun. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. So our first speaker is Mr. Glinogwake. He will be giving a brief overview of AIMS. Glino, please, can go ahead.
Greetings, everyone, esteemed colleagues, distinguished guests, and friends. Today, we gather here not just to launch the organization, but also to embark on a journey with the African Institute of Medical Sciences. This launch represents the collective dream, the ambitions, and the hard work that everyone has come together with the vision to elevate health sciences across South Africa. My name is Glinogwake Ngobo. I am the founding member of the African Institute of Medical Sciences. I welcome you guys, I welcome you all to this launch, to this initiative. And I would also like to make a special greetings to the members of the medical and the dental board of the HPCSA, and the special speaker, Dr. Maleb. And everyone who will take his or her time during this weekend to get to know more about us, what we do, and especially what is the motivation behind this establishment. A brief about myself. I am a medical scientist, which qualified in the year of 2020. I did my internship with the University of Tshwane, together with Tshwane Academic Division and clinical biochemistry. The journey of medical sciences has got many uphills. I would say it's one of the most difficult journey I've took in life. But the end, it's worthwhile. A little bit about AIMS. It's a non-profit company that has formally registered with the regulatory body that regulates business in South Africa. This organization represents medical scientists across South Africa. We are dedicated and our focus on advancing the interest of medical scientists with the support to enhance medical research, education, and innovation across South Africa. AIMS also provides a collaborative platform for researchers and educators and healthcare professionals to share knowledge and conduct a groundbreaking research and develop innovative solutions on our pressing health challenges. AIMS provides an environment, a home for innovators, for scholars to come together, to work together and advance the health needs. Our vision is to promote the interdisciplinary collaboration and facilitate the persistence of medical sciences and also foster the innovative practice to produce competent and world-class medical sciences. And we will achieve that through advocacy, pursuing collaborative avenues, and also to cultivate the inclusive environment to conduct for excellence as well as innovation. We have four main strategic objectives. Firstly is strategic planning, where we want to shape the brighter future for medical sciences by forging critical relationship with critical stakeholders, and also to ensure the continuous development of our members. Most importantly, which is also the key founding motivation of AIMS, is to address existing challenges in our profession, particularly that relate mostly with the regulatory body that regulates the training and the profession of medical sciences. Collaborative network and information sharing, it's also the key objective, and most importantly, advocacy, to act as an independent and authoritative voice that ensure that the needs of medical scientists are fulfilled. This picture, I believe that most of us can relate. The issues affecting medical scientists are many, starting from the training program, assessment issues, scope of practice. Even if when you have qualified, lack of job opportunities, even if when you have the job, lack of growth opportunities. All this shows the necessity of the establishment of organizations like AIMS to ensure that they tackle and they provide solution in all of these factors and more, which are affecting medical sciences. We have issues of underemployment. We have issues of doing the job that you're overqualified to do, and lack of career growth, which is generally may be referred as a ladder, which all motivates that we need to have an organization who should forge relationships, establish relationship with key stakeholders, and also create more opportunities for medical sciences. With this slide, I'm sure almost everyone who is in the medical field, laboratory or diagnostic space may relate. One of the two biggest key role players, which are medical technologists as well as pathologists. I mean, if we had number 3 in the slide, we probably wouldn't be attending this event today. A body that represents medical sciences is missing in the slide, and that's what AIMS aim to bring. The medical technology is well established, so many job opportunities, very fewer training and registration related challenges, and opportunities within the workplace. And nobody asks them what is their role, what they do. Everyone knows. They have established their niche, particularly in a diagnostic space. But one may say, medical sciences is a relatively new category within HPCSA. They would correct me during their presentation, but I think it was for my launch around 2009. So it's fairly new. However, we really need to catch up and also be able to participate in numerous issues pertaining our field, and also to be actively involved in the development and in addressing health needs. So this is, one may ask, why do you guys call yourself the Institute? Why did you choose to become a nonprofit company instead of a society or an association? I mean, looking at the issues that we are having right now, it requires a very unique approach in order to quickly address challenges and also to create more opportunities. So this is the reason why we decided to take the route of a nonprofit institution. Formerly, during the pre-conceptualization of AIMS, we were once the Medical Sciences Forum, but during meetings and trying to come up with different ways how we can address medical sciences issues, that's where we resolve in becoming an institution. Simply because of a more organized structure, similarly to the corporate structure, because a nonprofit institution it can offer services, and at the same time, it can offer services and products which generate money to ensure that it runs smoothly, and the profit which is generated, it's then addressed the issues or their core operations, basically. And again, as much as being a company, but they still have an access to funding, grants, donation, fundraising. And on point number 4, you may not have realized this, but you might have observed it, that most of the societies or associations, they mainly run on voluntary basis, based on the time that one has time. So that makes the cause not sustainable. So we want to ensure that we establish an organization that can last for ages, that can exist with or without any of its core founding members. We want to establish an organization whereby no one maybe may remember about us, they will just benefit from what the organization has established. That's why we are so open, and we want everyone from different professions with different expertise within the medical sector to come and join us, because we believe in collective effort and teamwork. On this slide, I actually thought it would be great if I would go pre-2019, because there's been so many factors, so many challenges and resilience in choosing this journey for almost most of us as founding members. This is important. I think I'll just browse through into it. That initially, I studied the pure Bachelor of Science degree. I think I would relate with many of the attendees today. But during my honors, me and my friends, we actually realized that, becoming a BSc graduate, there are very few opportunities out there if you want to join workforce. So collectively, we took a decision. Hey, guys, we need to change discipline. For our masters, we are joining medical science. We are joining health, faculty of health. Because with faculty of health, you can register with HPCSA, you can do your internship, and we have already observed from other discipline within other discipline of medical sciences, where they will do their internship, they will have ward round, they will visit hospital, and ultimately, whenever they finish, they have their 6 months or a year of the practice, they earn money, and they get a job afterwards. So like, this is the route. And not knowing when we were there, it wasn't the case, particularly with medical sciences and pharmacology, because that's what I did. In fact, you have to register once you have completed your studies. The internship is not affiliated with a training institution. So honestly, that was one of a hard pill to swallow, because we had this notion that, once you join here, we register, we finish our masters, straight away, we go to the industry. So that was really hard to accept. So, and I'm highlighting this because, and probably this is one of the things that they would like to engage on in the future, trying to link the medical sciences training as early as in a tertiary institution, not once you have checked almost anything out there and probably only find yourself seeing this internship with various diagnostic institutions, and then you take it. So, and unfortunately, I think the following year, there was no there was no intake because there were quite a few training institutions by then, training departments and even supervisors. I reached out to many, but they were quite a few. There was no intake on that. I think it was 2015, if I'm not mistaken. And during the time when I had got the internship, 2018, I also had an offer, a different offer with, I think it was Unilever. Yes, it was Unilever. I had to make a very tough decision because I was like, I have studied so much that I will just pursue, I will be underemployed, utilizing the rest of my skills. So I would rather do a 2-year internship and then do what I like and to grow. I made that hard decision. I went for an internship, which they were earning roughly around 7,000. I think it was 6,000 after tax deduction. So it was quite a difficult journey living in a different province. So when you're within the program itself, that's when we encountered now professional related issues. That's when we came about with my colleagues at the TAD, and then we say, no, we must establish something. We must be able to work together, assist each other to make sure that we complete this program, and also make a community, because it's not only us here in TAD who may be having some issues on getting things together, but we need to create an ecosystem that can benefit everyone. That's how it began on this day, on the 9th of September. So ever since then, the WhatsApp group has been actively growing. We established a task team, and currently, I think we had over 500 members. Over 500 members. We registered as an NPC. We have an active website, which is having so much resources. And we also now have started numerous initiatives that assist medical sciences. So on this slide, these are the group of dedicated individuals who have worked tirelessly as back as the year of 2019 to ensure that today we are having this organization. Zotsile Skosana, Shanae Spice, Spiwe Matukane, Nombuso Mkhize, Charles Mapungana, Puseletso Lesofe, Lungelo Shazi. And in the past 2 years, we have also recruited ad hoc members, Anele Mdunyelwa, Drew MacArthur, Babalo Kone, Lincoln Makofane, and Thando Bubeka. And we have worked with numerous individuals, some which are not in this slide, to ensure the active establishment of this initiative. So in this launch, we are also calling for collaboration with the regulatory bodies. We are glad we have one today, HPCSA, Institution of Higher Learning, universities that train medical scientists, professional bodies or professional societies, research institution, IVD manufacturers, as well as the industry. Because if we can work as a collective, we will be able to create opportunities, more opportunities for medical sciences, and also address the problems that are currently facing the field. Currently, we've got a number of initiatives that are taking place at AIMS, the shadow sciences, fundraising projects, and also research support. Our website provides so much opportunities and resources. If you browse to our website, you will find job opportunities and scholarships, CBD events, short courses, as well as a directory for medical sciences. You want to find out which institution provides medical sciences training. You want to find out which institution you can do your medical sciences degree. You can find all that information in our website. And as we are establishing more strategic relationships in the near future, you will also find links that will link to HPCSA, MRCSA, probably NHLS, and other organizations. I would like to say, guys, join this community, join us. Let's work together to elevate the medical research in South Africa. We believe that you are the integral part of AIMS community. A dedicated member who is doing research, a scientist, and a professional. Let's utilize all our expertise and collaborative effort to drive the groundbreaking research and make a meaningful impact. With this, I say, join us, partner with us, collaborate with us, and most importantly, we have also initiated a celebration. We say, celebrate your achievement with us, reach out to us with some of your achievement. It could have been a publication. It could have been a certain award that you may have achieved. You write into our social media individuals, and then we will make a publication in our LinkedIn page. AIMS, it's not for us. AIMS, it's for everyone. AIMS, it belongs to the medical community. With that, I thank you.
Thank you so much, Gino. As Puseleto has introduced us, my name is Numbuso. I'm a scientist and one of the founding members for AIMS. So we have a list of speakers that we've invited today from the Health Professions Council. We're part of a committee there for the various disciplines. And without further ado, so our first speaker is Miss Bianca Stalvin, who is an HPCSA registered medical biological scientist in the discipline of clinical biochemistry. She is currently working in NHLS Chemical Pathology Laboratory at the Red Cross Children's Hospital in Cape Town. And she is also a coordinator and supervisor for the HPCSA intern program for clinical biochemistry at NHLS UCT Fortescue Hospital. Welcome, Bianca. Over to you.
Hi, thank you. I'm just going to share my presentation over here. Let me just... Great. Can you just tell me if you can see this and if I'm clear? You can hear me?
Yes, you can see it and we are clear.
Perfect. Great stuff. So, good day, everyone. Thank you very much for that kind introduction. I'm Bianca Southern, and I'll be kicking off today's presentation. Let me just see, my slides don't want to move on here. There we go. There we go. So this is the list and a team of presenters who will take you through to the different disciplines and roles the Committee of Medical Scientists, or in short today, the CMS covers, especially during the crucial internship phase and your scientific career. So the HPCSA, or the Health Professions Council of South Africa, is all about regulating the healthcare professionals. Now, with Dr. Desmond Mache, who was appointed as the president from the 1st of September 2024, the HPCSA continues the strong leadership, ensuring that the healthcare professionals may stay compliant and maintain the integrity. Now, the council, this slide just offers what the council governs, and it oversees 12 different boards. Now, the Committee of Medical Sciences is a small but crucial part of the Medical and Dental Board, which contains about 43 members, where the CMS is only about 10 members. Behind the scenes, the Executive Secretary Division, the Education and Training Division, and the Registration Division work hard to keep everything running smoothly. I want to introduce you to the 3 disciplines that you can register into when going into being a medical scientist today. So we first start off with medical biological sciences, medical physics, and genetic counseling, and we will delve deeper into each path later on. I want to introduce you to the members. We have our members that form part of the medical biological sciences, medical physics, genetic counseling. We have board members that are also community representatives. And I just want to highlight that our acting chair, Prof. Hazer, also sits on the board. Here are the key members to the Executive Secretariat and Co-operations divisions. But I want to highlight these 3 individuals because they will probably be the individuals that you are in contact most frequently and most often. Ms. Mayanda Mayekisu, Ms. Miranda Safasi, and Mr. Amukalelani Makaringi. Ayanda, if you want to do anything and communicate with the CMS, Ayanda is your lady. Miranda is the pillar behind our portfolio of evidences and communications surrounding it, as well as the evaluations. And anything to do with registrations, Mr. Makaringi is your go-to guy. So now let's delve deeper into what the CMS actually does. It sets the guideline for accreditation of internship programs, develop the National Board Competency-Based Examination, or which you would refer to as your portfolio of evidence. We handle registration, qualifications, recognizing equivalent education. Plus, we help build strategies around education and training while keeping an eye on evaluators and as well as the accreditation reports. Now, I want you to get out your phones and scan this QR code because these are the policies and guidelines that is the most important to know. Now, the policies are often indicated by a alphabetical letter, where the guidelines are indicated by a number. Make sure you stay up to date with these throughout your internship and throughout your medical science career, and to keep everything on track, whether you are an intern or a supervisor or a trainer. The rules for the internship come from the Health Professions Act, and it lays the foundation to the main policy for training of intern medical sciences, the CMSA. These regulations outline everything you need to follow during your internship, so make sure you know what is expected. The internship is where the real action happens. Over 24 months, you will work in an accredited facility, transitioning from a student to a full-fledged healthcare professional. Now, this internship is about building your skills, knowledge, and obtaining a mindset while collaborating with the healthcare pros within the world in a real world setting. So at the end, after this 24-month internship, you will submit your portfolio of evidence showcasing all the skills that you have gained. Now, the training program consists of these 6 competencies that you need to follow. These are designed to get you fully prepared for your career. And this is what your journey would look like. You will first start off by registering as an intern medical scientist in a supervised practice capacity. After completing and successfully submitting your portfolio evidence, you will be gain and be certified as a medical scientist in an independent practice. And then you are ready to rock and roll. Now, there are 3 portfolio of evidence cycles a year, and Miranda will later on go much more into detail about that. But I just wanted to highlight you the statistics that we have been seeing. And what is interesting, that fields like anatomical pathology, immunology, and reproductive biology, as well as the genetics field, showcase a low number of submissions, which highlights a very need and obviously a very big talent gap that needs to be filled. But this does not negate the other categories that you can register in. What is also interesting is that the institutions that offer training programs and that offer the most training programs are often your universities. And these universities are often linked to a hospital or a laboratory setting. What came out of this is clinical biochemistry is the most popular category to register in. Now, let's zoom into the medical biological sciences section. It's an exciting field with plenty of opportunities to explore. So, you can either register in the following categories, depending on what your interests are and what you have studied. You can go into anatomical pathology, reproductive biology, microbiology. The world is really your oyster. But today I'm going to focus on clinical biochemistry because this is the field I'm more passionate about. So, as a clinical biochemist, we play a crucial role in diagnosing and monitoring of diseases. And it all starts off with a biological sample collection, followed by data acquisition using advanced instrumentation, such as your immunochemistry analyzers or chromatography instrumentation. We analyze enzymes, hormones, biomarkers, all to assess an organ function that leads to some sort of disease. This can either be a kidney disease, a heart disease, or metabolic disorder. We make sure that the results are accurate because they help clinicians make an informed treatment decisions. Now, the requirements to becoming a clinical biochemist is that the minimum requirement is an honors degree, whether it's within a Bachelor of Science or Bachelor of Health Science degree, within the field of biochemistry, chemistry, medical laboratory science, or medical science. And as stated, at the end, you will submit your portfolio of evidence, showcasing your competencies that you have gained. Now, you might be wondering, where do I get a job after this? The main job path that you can take is to be placed in a chemical pathology laboratory. Now, this can either be a state laboratory, this can be private laboratories, or this can be the research institution, and you go more of a research path. Now, I'm going to hand over to Dr. Graham Lazarus, who's going to talk to you more about the medical physics field. Over to you, Graham.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you very much for inviting me to present. I'm just going to share my screen and turn off my camera. Thank you. So I am going to talk about radiation biologists and medical physics. So the disciplines of radiation biology and medical physics were initiated by the discovery in 1895 of X-rays by Wilhelm Conrad Röntgen. He was busy with electrical charge in a glass tube, and by chance he discovered that an image was produced on a photographic plate a distance away, and he knew that it could not be from the electrical charge. So he further discovered that these X-rays passed easily through the flesh, while shadows were cast by the bones and the ring on his wife's hand. So yes, he was experimenting. And then he came to the conclusion that these mysterious rays actually were absorbed by the high density bone and passed through the low density soft tissue. He dubbed these mysterious rays X-rays with
apologies, doctor. Your slides are not in presenter mode. Sorry.
Should be presentation mode.
Is that it? Can you see it now?
Presentation mode.
I did that.
Maybe if you stop sharing and start again.
Is that better?
It's still not in presenter mode.
I think it's because you're sharing your window and not your screen.
Yes.
And now?
Still the same.
Oh, I don't know what is wrong.
Do you, Graham, would you like me to share your slides?
Yeah, please do. Yeah, okay.
The camera on.
Doctor, you can stop sharing yours.
Yes, I've done that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. So let me just go on to the slide where Graham was. Graham, you were here?
Yes, I was.
Okay, you can just tell me when I can click to go to the next slide.
Okay, the disciplines of radiation biology and medical physics, as I mentioned, were initiated by the discovery of X-rays. And Röntgen was experimenting with electrical charge. And by chance, he noticed that there was some image produced on a photographic plate. Next. I'm not seeing the next slide. Yeah. So he discovered that X-rays then pass through. Can you go back, please, Bianca? You've gone way ahead. Yeah, so he dubbed, yeah, I'm right here. He dubbed these mysterious rays X-rays, with X standing for the unknown. Next, please, Bianca. So when they were doing these experiments, they noticed after a while that there were burns and skin damage after the exposure to X-rays. And much later, you can go a few lines ahead, Bianca, because I think there's some sort of lag here. Thomas Edison's assistant, who had worked extensively with X-rays, died of skin cancer. So the scientists then realized that there was sort of damage that could be caused to cells, and they needed to take radiation more seriously. And this is where radiation biology came about. Radiation biologists were brought about to help understand the process whereby radiation interacts with the cell's DNA and how this interaction affects whether the cell lives or dies. And so two things were recognized here. One, since you could get an image of the hand, you could use the radiation for diagnostic purposes. And it needed to be investigated because cells actually did die. And that could be used for treating cancers, where you actually kill the tumor cells. So, and when this came about, it led to the creation of an additional branch of physics called medical physics, where one has to then determine at what point does the diagnostic stop in terms of what energy and what doses the patient can receive, and over. So whilst the radiation biologist determines that, the medical physicists are responsible for the safe and judicious and optimal use of this in all aspects of medicine. The prerequisite, so before you can undertake a 2-year internship in radiation biology, is either a BSc honors degree in radiobiology or a BSc honors degree in biomedical life sciences, plus an MSc or PhD in radiobiology. At the end of the internship, a portfolio of evidence must be submitted for assessment and moderation by CMS-appointed radiation biologists. So this is a new program that's been introduced to CMS, and it should become fully effective as of early next year. What are the roles and responsibilities of radiation biologists? So they establish and recommend exposure guidelines for medical diagnostic scans, like what is a maximum dose you can give to get an optimal scan where it doesn't fall in the therapy range. So they would experiment on cells and find out at what point will they start dying, at what point in terms of dose and energy. They provide justification for dose levels and protocols used for therapy as well. For instance, do you give 20 treatments of a certain dose, or do you give 10 treatments of a certain dose in order to effectively kill the tumor, whilst trying to protect all the healthy tissue that the radiation may encounter? They conduct research on DNA repair, cell proliferation, and cell death following the exposure of various types of human cells to the various types of radiation. And they also provide clinical advice on optimal treatment regimens, like I mentioned, the fractionation scheme and how many treatments to give, based on the radiation responses of the various cancer tissue types that exist. And not all cancers are the same, and not all respond to radiation in the same way. We come to the medical physicist. The minimum requirements to undertake a 2-year internship is either a BSc honors degree in medical physics. So this is a specific honors degree that incorporates medical physics component, or for individuals who already have an honors degree in pure physics without any medical physics incorporated in their program, they must then do the following additional medical physics modules at an accredited academic institution. These include the physics of diagnostic radiology, the physics of radiation therapy, the physics of nuclear medicine, and radiation protection. And these 4 modules would take about a year. At the end of that internship, the intern has to submit a portfolio of evidence, which is assessed and moderated by CMS-appointed medical physicists. So what are the roles and responsibilities of a medical physicist? They determine optimal scanning protocols for general X-rays, CT scans, MRI, mammography, and ultrasound. So anything to do with the use of radiation in a hospital or any institution like a radiotherapy facility. Diagnostic X-rays, they perform quality control for all diagnostic equipment. So you want to ensure, for instance, that you're getting an optimal image. you need to know that what the output of the machine is, the kilovoltage and the current that flows through, because that impacts the dose and it impacts the image quality. You also have to do the radiation protection for all these different rooms. For instance, protecting the staff that are outside pressing the buttons for the X-ray. You have to make sure that the walls are thick enough so the radiation doesn't give them some sort of exposure, or the patients that are walking around, or the general public. Similarly for CT. If you look at MRI and ultrasound, they don't actually use radiation, where MRI uses proton density and magnets, and ultrasound uses sound waves. But quality assurance is an aspect in which medical physicists are involved. And one of the other sub-disciplines of medical physics is nuclear medicine. So in nuclear medicine, patients are injected with active tracers, right? So if you look on the left, this is called a gamma camera. And the structure that you see on the top is a detector. And there's similar structure on the left of your image. That's also there. So the patient is injected with some sort of radioactive substance. We use technetium-99, and imaged. The radiation that emanates from the patient is picked up by these detectors. And then very advanced computer algorithms, reconstruction algorithms, the radiation can be, the source of the radiation can then come up as an image. And if you see the uptake of the radiation within the patient, you can actually see whether there is some sort of abnormality or a cancer. Now, the next thing is the single photon emission computer tomography, which is similar to gamma camera, but those detectors actually rotate around the patient. Also on that gantry is a CT scan. So you can combine the images of the radiation uptake in the patient with the CT scan and easily see exactly where in the patient that radioactivity has accumulated. If you look at PET, which is positron emission tomography, and more advanced now is PET-CT, that also looks at, for instance, functional imaging, where the radio tracer, the radioactive compound, is, for instance, a thing called FDG, which is fluorodeoxyglucose. So glucose actually gets accumulated in parts of the body where there's a lot of activity, right? Where, for instance, if you are solving a difficult maths problem, a certain part of your brain needs that glucose, and it goes up there. And when it is imaged, you'll see that light up as red. So a lot of radio traces are used. For instance, I'll use an example of the prostate. When you're doing a diagnostic scan, you will use gallium. It's called a PSMA scan, where the patient is injected with radioactive gallium, which is taken up by the prostate. And then you image that, and together with the CT, you can get a proper image of the patient and the prostate. So optimal scanning protocols are some of the duties of medical physicists in terms of what dose of radiation or injection must you give. You do the dosimetry to check the uptake in the patient, and you make sure it's optimal, because you don't want to give too little, because then you won't pick up if there's some sort of abnormality. And likewise, you don't want to give too much, because then you will start killing the healthy tissue. So quality assurance of all this equipment is also part of the duties of a medical physicist. I already mentioned measurement of radioactivity. Now, radionuclide therapy, that's come about from not so long ago, I mean over 10 years. So I use the example of prostate, where you use gallium as a radio tracer that goes to the prostate. There's also lutetium-177, which in higher doses also gets into the prostate, but it stays in the prostate, and the radiation from the lutetium can actually kill tumor cells within the prostate. So that's radionuclide therapy. And there's a lot of them coming up right now, a lot of investigations being made. So we would be responsible for measuring those, the activity that is being injected into the patient, checking the image quality, and obviously all quality control of all these pieces of equipment in nuclear medicine. Radiation protection as well, which I've already mentioned. In radiation therapy, now we've come to the treatment of cancer with radiation. And if you look on the right-hand side, there's a linear accelerator which produces an X-ray beam or an electron beam, which is used to target the tumor of the patient. It starts off with what's on the left. We have computer planning systems which actually have the actual beam that emanates from the linear accelerator. And you place beams. If you look at the top, there's a beam coming from the top, and there's two lateral oblique fields of radiation. And the computer will calculate the dose, and you can see the red dot in the center because that is the area that you want to treat. So if you give lots of these fields, rather than giving just a single field, if you give lots of these fields, you notice that the surface of the patient, the dose is lower, but where the fields interact, and that should be a tumor, you get a much higher dose. So you're reducing the dose to the healthy tissue and giving a high dose to the tumor in the center. So the physicist will then assist with that plan and then do an independent verification of the calculations done by this treatment planning system, because you want to make sure that the calculation is correct, because what is calculated is going to be what is going to be treated, and you want to make sure that you're giving the correct doses. The main limiting factor here to how high you can go with dose is dose to the organs at risk and to the healthy tissue. So that's your plan verification. Before the patient goes onto the LINAC for treatment, you have also got to verify that what the LINAC delivers is exactly what the plan said it should do. So we use QA equipment, like in the middle picture there, to actually treat this phantom, which has a whole lot of detectors that picks up the radiation doses at about 2 to 3 millimeters apart. There are thousands of them, and they then reproduce that plan on a computer, or the treatment on a plan on the computer, as you can see the screen at the back. And we then compare this to the original plan and make sure that the actual treatment mimics what was planned. So that is the treatment verification. There's also quality control of all these systems that are done, especially the linear accelerator. The actual beam, the dosimetry, the laser markers for the patient, making sure that the patient is set up correctly, and so on. Also, in terms of radiation protection, for instance, this is a very high energy LINAC because it's used for therapy. So you have high energy beams. You have to protect the staff that are sitting outside controlling the machine, as well as patients and the general public. So we have to design bunkers for this and determine exactly how thick those walls must be, if they're made of concrete, or you can have concrete and lead lines. So sometimes they can go up to over 2.5 meters thick. So where do we work? We work in any institution where you have radiotherapy, especially. All those state hospitals that were mentioned, there are 6 of them, state hospitals that have radiotherapy. And there are about 30 private practice, single LINAC radiotherapy groups. So medical physicists have job opportunities there. Thank you very much, and apologies for the sharing aspect of this. I'm not quite sure why it didn't work.
Great. Thank you, Graham. The next one will be Katrein Fourie. She is unable to make it today, but she has sent her slides. So I'm going to share her slides with you. Just let me know if you can see them. Oh. Sorry, can someone just tell me if I shared if you can see my slides?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay, let me just see. Okay, how about now?
Yes.
Yes, perfect. Okay, so it would be Miss Katrin Fourie, and she.
Turn on your mic, please.
No sound.
Sorry. Let's just
Please.
try that. Yeah, that's fine. I'm going to start again. Sorry about that. Can you hear now? Will you be able to hear the video?
No. I'm playing again.
Okay, let me just try again. Just see if you can hear the. Could you hear that?
No.
No.
No. Okay. I don't know how to make the video play. Maybe you can
You
hear
would
the
have
sound.
to sound from your computer.
See.
Good morning, everyone. The fact that
Could you hear the sound now?
Yes.
Oh, okay, perfect. Oh, okay, there we go. Okay, sorry. I'm going to start this again. Sorry about that.
My name is Katrin Fourie. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak to you in absentia, essentially. I'm sorry that I'm missing it, but I hope that you find the next two slides useful. The fact that genetic conditions are actually a lot more prevalent than I think most people realize. So about 1 in 15 births in South Africa is affected by congenital disorders, so something that they are born with. And of that, more than 80% is genetic or partially genetic. So it's a really high number. And genetic conditions also have a significant contribution to both the morbidity and mortality of the conditions, leading to the statement that we often make that genetic conditions are individually rare, but collectively common. So if you look at those conditions as a group, it's actually not as rare as one might think, and shows the need for clinical genetic services. For those who don't know, genetic counseling is defined as the process of helping people understand and adapt to the medical, psychological, and familial implications of the genetic contributions to disease. So it's a combination of a clinical side, a scientific side, and then this psychology side in order to be able to help these patients. How the journey works to become a genetic counselor is that you take students who have an honors degree in an appropriate discipline. That can be any of the life sciences. We've had nursing students, we've had psychology honors. We do recommend that it's a genetics background. The qualification itself, so this is where genetic counseling is slightly different from the other fields in medical sciences, because we do require a master's level qualification. It consists of coursework and research, as well as in-clinic training. At the moment, this course is offered by WITS in South Africa and UCT in South Africa, and they fairly recently started the course in Ghana as well. But those are the only 3 sites in Africa. The qualification is then followed by a 2-year
internship, after which a portfolio of evidence is handed in, and if that's successful, you get registered with the HPCSA. So just to give a bit more detail on the genetic counseling internship, as the others, it's a full-time 24-month internship. It's mostly focused on practical learning. So in the genetic counseling degree, the students would have done all the theory behind counseling, the genetic side of things. In the internship, we really focus on giving them continuous clinic exposure. They also have to take on administrative duties such as running a clinic, managing a clinic, managing the caseload more autonomously, and so on. From an academic point of view, over the 24 months, they get quarterly assessments of 4 in a year, which consists of feedback from all the trainers, self-reflection from their side. Over the 2 years, they also need to write 4 case reports, so cases that they've seen that they need to write up. And the case reports need to have different focuses. There needs to be a medical one, ethical, psychosocial, and reflective. As part of their assessments, they also do what we call observed simulated clinical examinations, or OSCEs, which is basically a practical exam with an actor portraying the role of a patient. So we give them a specific scenario and they get marked on how well they conduct a genetic counseling session. Once the 24 months is complete, interns submit a portfolio of evidence. One of the big things in our portfolio of evidences is that it includes a logbook of all the cases seen. No personal patient details, but things like how many of a specific type of case did they see. In order to be considered for registration, interns need to have seen a minimum of 200 cases over the 2 years, and those cases are divided into prenatal, pediatric, adult, and cancer fields, with at least 20 in each field. There's really a couple of ways a genetic counselor's career can go. Clinical being the most sort of traditional aspect of it, in other words, seeing patients. And this can be in a state healthcare service or in private practice. More and more these days, a lot of genetics research studies has genetic counselors attached to it, as part of the recruiting, as part of the feedback of results, the consenting process, because that can be quite involved in genetics research. A lot of genetic counselors also end up in academic institutions, such as myself, because it can involve quite a bit of teaching, and some of the inherent skills we have and we teach our genetic counseling interns, like communication and so on, actually lends itself very well to a teaching space. And then in the last few years, there's also emerged what we refer to as a lab genetic counselor, which just means it's a genetic counselor attached to a lab, whether a private lab or a state lab. And they usually don't interact with patients directly, but instead assist with things like genetic testing, gatekeeping, and directing tests into the right area. A lot of liaising with doctors who request the test. Also result interpretation and helping out with the clinical interpretation of some of the genetic results, and then also writing of reports.
Great. So that was genetic counseling. So what now I'm going to do now is hand over to Ms. Miranda Sopasi and to her to share her screen. And that would be the last speaker for us today from the HPCSA side. Miranda?
Thank you. Thank you, Bianca. Good day, everybody. Please confirm that I'm audible. And once you do so, then I will turn off my camera and be able to project. Such a great pleasure being in attendance.
We can hear
Thank
you.
We can hear.
Thank you. Are you able to see my screen?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Let's go back. Okay. Technology has a way that it has done at times. There we go. Please confirm that you can see my screen now.
Yes.
Great stuff.
You
Thank
just put
you.
it in presenter mode,
Shall do.
Brenda.
Great.
Yeah, we can see it.
We will now turn our attention to the function of Education and Training Division in supporting the process of a board assessment of intern medical scientists. In concluding the 24 months of internship program, an intern is expected to submit a portfolio of evidence, which will be assessed. And then our role as Education and Training Division is now to receive these intent forms from the interns. Then the committee will appoint assessors and moderators. Then we communicate the appointment to the evaluators. And a link is then now shared with the interns, enabling them to load or to upload their POEs. And this process is basically has a cut-off window of 30 days that the interns are allowed to do that. And it's important that interns do adhere to these cut-off times. Once the window is closed, then the link is shared with the assessors and moderators. And soon after, the moderator will then share the report or the outcome of the POE that will be shared with the intern and the supervisor, where with possible outcomes where it's either approved or conditionally approved with minor revisions or not approved. Our second role as well is also to manage or coordinate the evaluation of higher education institutions as well as training institutions. What education and training does, once the committee has communicated the possible dates for the evaluation of programs that are offered in those institutions, then we communicate those dates to the institutions. Once the institutions then confirm their availability on the proposed dates, that's when now the appointed evaluators by the committee will be formally informed that they are part of the team of evaluators. And the logistical plans on the movement and accommodation of evaluators is then is undertaken, as these individuals would from time to time come from different provinces to be able to carry out their work. Hotel, flights, and transportation arrangements have to be made to ensure a seamless process. Thereafter, once the evaluators come up with the report, that the outcome of the process will then be communicated with the institutions. Then we turn our focus to the final POE assessment and procedures. As it was initially, or the speakers before me had indicated, we have got 3 cycles of evaluation, of submitting the POEs, your January cycle, your May cycle, as well as your September cycle. It's very important not to miss the dates where the interns are supposed to submit their POEs, because once you miss the date, unfortunately, you will be advised to submit in the next cycle. Once we receive your intent to submit your POE, which takes place 12 weeks prior to the submission, And I can share with you right now for the January cycle, those intents are coming in thick and fast because interns don't want to be caught napping. The interns are allowed to submit their POEs 3 months before the internship ends, meaning those ones whose internship is ending in January, they can submit their POEs now for the cycle. The Form 36 that confirms internship completion or the registration is then shared with us, and interns are only basically allowed to attempt 3 times basically to be assessed. And should an intern require more time, then this will have to be in a written form sent to the CMS to deliberate and give an outcome of that, whether the intern is allowed to proceed to try the 4th attempt. It's entirely up to the committee. Kindly have your cell phones ready so that you can capture the QR code that will be shared with you at a later stage. Now, this is the process that I had spoken to you about earlier, where the intern will submit an intent form. The committee decides on the team of assessors and moderators, and then the submission of POEs take place, and the links are shared with the assessors to be able to pronounce on the outcome of those POEs. Once the is received from the moderator, the supervisor and the intern are then informed of the outcome of the evaluation or of the POE assessment. Thereafter, the intern will take the results letter and all the supporting documents, send them to the registrations department to make sure that all information that is necessary is captured. Then the registrations department, as I said, it captures all the information and issues a certificate that now pronounces an intern as a fully fledged medical scientist. There we go. Now, please make sure that you capture this QR code, as these documents will basically assist you throughout your internship process. The policies that you see on your right-hand side, CMSA, CMSH, you have to make those your friends. CMSA is your map that will assist you navigate the 24 months of your internship, guide you on how to structure your POE. Your supervisor has to be your go-to person to ensure that your POE ticks all the compliance boxes before it's submitted for assessment. Your CMSH outlines the assessment process. We trust that this segment was informative, and we look forward to receiving your intent forms in a not so distant future. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much to all the HPCSA representatives. Thank you for such informative presentations. I hope everyone managed to catch that.
So we've reached the end. Dr. Peli was our last speaker. So we're going to go through questions. So we're going to start with anyone who's comfortable unmuting themselves and posing the questions to anyone, whether you want to ask a question to Dr. Peli or you want to ask questions to the HPCSA representatives. So you can raise your hand and we will call out your name, and then you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Yes, Nkanyezi.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi. I just want to direct my question to the HPCSA, and anyone could perhaps help me get this right. I've been trying to find the proper channel of registering with HPCSA. I've had a few mentors letting me know that I need to get a training lab first before registering, as there's a board exam that I would have to write. I think this was also touched on a bit earlier. So I just need the proper steps of doing it. Do you get a lab first, then register, or do you register, then get the lab?
Anyone wants to take that from the HPCSA? Yes, Bianca, thank you.
Yeah, I can take that one. When you say the board exam, medical scientists don't write necessarily a board exam. Our exam is, or what you would consider exam is our portfolio of evidence. But generally, you need to be appointed as a medical scientist intern first before you can register as an intern scientist. If you are talking more about the technology side, that's where there's board exams. But you can always just pose your questions further. But I hope I could answer that question for you regarding the medical scientist intern side.
Nkanyezi, do you need any more clarification?
No, I think she answered my question. Then I would like to make it a bit more personal to what I studied then. I studied a biochemistry and microbiology degree, and I did an honors in microbiology. I would then want to find out exactly how to then register under HPCSA.
Sorry, this is Professor Heiser speaking. I'm the acting head of the Committee of Medical Sciences. So it's good to refer to the HPCSA, but the Committee of Medical Sciences is a small part of the HPCSA. Any person that would like to have internship has to define and to find out where, in which province, where you are located, is there an internship position open. So you have to do the research to find out if you are in Gauteng or Western Cape. You have to approach these different sections that offers internship, because each and every program has a specific allocation of posts, and so therefore you have to be accepted in that specific program to be able to be part of the program and register in clinical biochemistry or microbiology or which section you want to do this. So the pathway to obtain internship is to first find a program that offers this in the section that you have, because not all of these programs are funded. And so therefore you have to determine, is there a post that's funded? Will I compete, because this is interviews and a certain limited number of posts are available in whatever program you would like to register. I hope this helps. Otherwise, you can email Miranda Sufasi, and I think the AIMS organizers do have her email. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. We will share that with you, Nkanyezi, and if you have any more questions, you are more than welcome to reach out to Sipogazi. Liesel, you can go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for such a wonderful presentation. So I just wanted, it's more of a comment. So in terms of the job opportunities that are available for medical scientists, I feel like what I've seen over the couple of months or years that I've actually been registered as a medical scientist, feel like most of the posts that are coming out in diagnostic labs are for medical technologists, and you'd say like maybe probably like 20% would be for medical scientists. So I don't know if AIMS as an institute would be able to advocate for medical scientists, in terms of medical scientists can still do the work of medical technologists. So if such posts do come out, can they also consider medical scientists for that position? Because initially we have almost the same skills, just that less and less posts come out for medical scientists. So I feel like that would be something to look at as AIMS.
I think we can look into that. Definitely, yes. and we can engage on that a little bit more. But technologists have a different scope in terms of what they do and what we do. So yes, you can do their job, but there's a little bit of a gray area there, which I think maybe we also need to discuss more on it so that everyone is on the same page. But yeah, definitely I agree. We will talk about that. Anele, you have your hand up.
The HPCSA people regarding the various disciplines within the medical scientist field. Is there no way of merging some of the disciplines? Because, for instance, I'm registered under micro, and my internship I did in a lab where we had a molecular section. So basically, the focus was molecular biology techniques, such as PCR sequencing and DNA extraction, right? So the problem that we have right now is if a viral department is going to advertise for someone with similar techniques, they look at HPCSA registration, and if it's not viral, then you're not considered, which is problematic because the skills they're essentially looking for, we still have. It's just that we did our training under a micro lab, but in essence, we did molecular biology techniques. So if there's a way of merging certain disciplines into one, I think such as molecular biology techniques, micro, and viral, it will really help us because now we apply for jobs and you get rejected because they don't look at the skill sets that you have. They look at the registration under HPCSA and they say, no, you are registered under micro, so you can't work in a viral lab. So is there a way around that to try and fix it? Thank you.
So this is Professor Heiser speaking again. The qualification that you attain and the registration is accordingly to regulation. So that is legal. So it can't just be merged and put together. So it's important that there's certain procedures that you can follow. For example, dual registration, which is accordingly that you then submit a portfolio of evidence to indicate that you are registered and qualified in another category. And this means that this portfolio of evidence is then peer reviewed by an assessor and moderator and qualify you fit for dual registration. There's also another category that is migration, whereby you can migrate from one section to the other based on a portfolio of evidence. Currently, the HPCSA, the Committee of Medical Sciences underneath the HPCSA, has certain working groups looking into infectious diseases. This is a combination of certain programs, which is then virology and microbiology, combined with certain aspects of molecular biology. But this is still, it will take time and effort for this working group to come to, this is specialist in these categories, that comes together to see for the formation of a new program. A new program and merging of items of certain programs takes time. And it has to be promulgated. So this means that it has to then be approved by the Medical and Dental Board, which the Committee of Medical Sciences is a small part of. I hope that answers the question.
All right, no, thank you for the information. So a quick question, for dual registration, does it mean I would have to now undergo another internship? Because already I've done an internship under micro, right? So say I want to have registration under viral, would I still need to undergo a 2-year internship? Or how does it work if you're already registered as a scientist under a different discipline?
I think you have to take this offline and contact Miranda Sufasi and ask these questions to be answered for your case specifically, and that this should be curtailed for you. So it depends on your experience. If you have 10 years in the field and you have a portfolio 10 years or longer, I'm just calling it 10 years. So your experience basket will determine your ability to have a dual registration. If you, for example, registered in micro, but have a PhD or MSc in molecular biology, and then you rather would like to work in molecular biology, then you apply through a portfolio of evidence to showcase that you have the ability to be independent practice in the other type of program. But I would suggest contact Miranda Sufasi and ask these questions directly.
All right, then thank you so much. Will do.
Thanks, Prof. I only see Mafalogo. So if you can recognize your name, it's not a full name, so I'm not sure. You can go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Speaking on the perspective of BSc graduates, I understand the concept that we need to get diagnostic labs and whatnot so that we can register with the HPCSA. That is understood. But in the perspective whereby one has been applying consecutively and consistently, but on so many numerous accounts, we get rejected for these internships that we qualify for whatever numerous reasons that labs might state. What options do we as BSc graduates have in order for us to register with the HPCSA so that we can be able to apply our theory in practice and actually work in the lab? I have emailed several times towards the HPCSA to get clarity of options that we have, but till this day, there isn't actually an exact answer as to what options do we actually have. I hear so much about if you have a master's, a PhD, an honors, and the what or not. But let's go back to the simplicity of those BSc graduate. What options and way forwards do we actually have if we have so much rejection with the diagnostic labs in terms of getting internships? What options do we actually have for us to actually getting into the field, getting recognition with the HPCSA, and being put to practice? Thank you.
Yeah, so this is Professor Heiser again. So the HPCSA and the Committee of Medical Scientists are regulators. So we are not providing jobs, we are not forming jobs, and we are not in the job business. So we are regulators. So it means that certain qualifications, certain standards of training is in our terms of references. So I think you are knocking on the wrong door in this case. So the HPCSA regulate the training as well as the qualification standards. The number of training programs is to education and training of the governmental section or the pathology labs or the institutes. So they govern the number of training facilities in the country. For example, Bianca has indicated the small number of portfolio of evidences that is indicated that comes in or that came in for 2024. There's, for example, only 2 facilities that is supported to train a reproductive biologist, of which I am an embryologist. So the supportive structures that governs the financing and the stipulating and the support of training facilities is not part of the HPCSA terms of reference, but it is the education and training section that must support and ensure that all of the intended scientists that would like to study and have internship be supported to do so. But that is beyond the terms of reference of the Committee of Medical Sciences of the HPCSA. I do agree with you. There are too few training institutions. There are too few posts specifically for the interns to be able to train. But then you have to support the training facilities and ensure that there are sufficient trainers. If there are insufficient trainers, they cannot absorb the number of interns that would like to be trained. And I think there lies the largest problem in this whole equation. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Yes, just to add on that, unfortunately, when labs or people that want to take in interns advertise and get applicants, it has become very competitive, and they will most likely go for someone with an MSc or PhD. They also look at your experience. So in the meantime, you can try and get an MSc. And I know it sounds difficult to hear, but this is where we are. But we've also identified that that is a gap. Not everyone wants to go into research and do an MSc or a PhD. So we are trying to work on that gap, see what is possible, and hopefully maybe in a few years, because it will take time, we can have better solutions to cover that gap. Zino, you had your hand up.
Hi, viewer. I thought you forgot to recognize Prof. I think Prof. Karen. I thought she had something to add in this conversation. Thank you.
No, it's an honor to listen to all this wonderful, enthusiastic scientists. And I can tell you the Committee of Medical Sciences has a love for science. And we would like to enhance and complement and assure, that there's a future for a new generation. So thank you for reaching out to the Committee of Sciences and Bianca and the group that interacted with you. It's wonderful to see the drive and the passion and the future of your group. I applaud you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Stella, you have a question?
Yes, thank you so much. First, let me just appreciate the AIMS launch. I think we are grateful that you have invited all the guest speakers to just share some of the information. And thank you for that part. I think maybe the question was answered before I asked it. I wanted to check with the HPCSA guys. Why is it that you are offering few posts in these few accredited institutions for the trainings of internships? That was the first question. Why are they few posts? Is there maybe a reason behind? I heard Prof just touch not so long ago that maybe it is the issue of the people who have to train the interns, they're not enough and whatnot. Did you really check that part for you guys to say that, okay, it is because we don't have enough people to train this internship, or it's just because I think it has been happening throughout the years? So maybe we can be maybe get some highlights from there. And then from the AIM side, I know that you are trying to close this gap within the industry. What is it that you guys have in place such that maybe in terms of collaboration, maybe you guys, you know that, okay, almost each and every year, there will be interns that will be absorbed. Some they are being signed out like that and like that. But if you can check in our country, South Africa, there are a lot of scientists that are not working. We are grateful that because of this platform, don't you think maybe it will be an advantage for you guys maybe to collaborate with some, who is likely to employ scientists? You collaborate with those big companies, and then such that now you said, okay, guys, we have this number of interns that were signed out maybe for the previous year. We have 14. Any space there, you just you direct the post. More like you are collaborating with this. You know where to go for us not to be unemployed. So I was just checking along those lines that as aims, do you think maybe to work out that part that maybe, like if you're not going to all go to academics, you can go to clinical labs. If clinical labs, there's no space, you know where to go from here. You just give us those options. We know that after we are done, we know that we are waiting to be absorbed, something like that. Thank you.
We'll go to your first one. I think Prof.
Can I try to answer the gentleman?
I will get to you, Tina. I just wanted to quickly ask Pelly if she's online. I will get to AIM's answers to sort of like tell the BSc graduates or someone who has an MSc also struggling to get an internship, what resources, or I don't know if there is any opportunity in industry for someone with a BSc or for someone with an MSc. If Peli, you're still online.
Sure, thank you so much. And I will be dropping off after I answer here. I do want to say that a lot of the multinational companies have trainee courses where you come in as a trainee and you would sit in the various departments. We've had various graduates. They also have graduate programs. We've had various graduates who've studied as a Bachelor of Sciences, and they would come in and shadow either a product manager or join the marketing team or the applications team. And this is seen as an internship where you are paid for it. And if you're doing really, really well in your internship, then the company absorbs you and you would then join permanently. I've seen a lot, not a lot, let me say this, let me be honest. I've seen people who have the passion and dedication during their internship stay on and grow within the organization, within Roche specifically, and even go up from the corporate ladder. There's an individual now who's leading our supply chain team, and everybody was saying how this guy started as an internship or a trainee. So the opportunity is there. I will share with the African Institute of Medical Scientists where they post these, specifically Roche. I'm not sure about other organizations. I think a Google search might help, but I'll share where Roche posts their adverts for trainees and internships, and then the AIMS organization can then share with everybody here on the call.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for taking the time, Peli. And just to add on that, Thermo Fisher has also, now they have a training thing, I think that they're doing with the SAMRC. So internships are limited in the country. That's where we are at the moment. But you also have to try and look at other industries or aspects of, in terms of industry, where you can get opportunities to get training. The second hand that I see here, and then I promise we'll come to AIMS, is Shadime.
Good afternoon, all. I'm not sure if you can hear me.
We can hear you.
Thank you for this opportunity. I just want to add on a question, but more regards to the NQF levels. So, as a BHHC graduate, and then you qualify as a NQF level 7, but some of the private companies provide like technician posts and stuff like that, but it's an NQF level 4 that you have to get HPCSA registration with. So I just wanted to know, can we get accredited? Because now you're moving from an NQF level 7 to an NQF level 4. Thank you.
I'm not sure who can answer that specific question. I'm not familiar with that area of I'm not able to help you. Anyone on the call who can help Shadime? I don't think there's anyone who can help. Can you maybe send us an email and then we'll try and see if we can get an answer for you? It doesn't look like there's anyone on the call who can assist.
Hi.
Oh, there's someone there. Thank you.
All right, I will. Thank you.
Did someone want to answer that?
Yeah, I just want to speak directly to the BSc student. In my experience, some of the BSc students that I've come across during my career, they would, if they're struggling to get jobs when it comes to they're looking to get into the lab medicine field, they would prefer studying further and apply to institutions that offer medical technology. Like you go to UJ and then they would apply for the BSc and then they would get accredited for the subjects that are similar, and then they would qualify as medical technologist. There's that route for some BSc students because they offer BSc and honors now to those universities universities that offer training for medical technologists. And for the ones that medical technicians, I'm aware because I have a background also. I used to work in private labs where they would employ BSc students as medical technicians because they don't have the specific lab training. So they would rather train them as medical technician. And some of those companies, they would, because they lack medical training when it comes to clinicians, so they would rather employ them as technician and train them as technicians. Unfortunately, if you do not want to, I know some people also who do not want to work as medical technicians. They would rather go back to an institution that trains medical technologists. I hope that helps.
Thank you. So we are over time. I have Azra next, and then Gino will go, and then we'll take one last question from the chat box, and then unfortunately we'll have to close the session, and we will try and prepare another one. Azra?
Hi, thank you for the presentation. I just wanted to find out, when do the applications for the 2-year internship open, and where can we apply for it?
We don't know. What we know is that, for example, I work with the NHLS, so they mostly open around April based on past experiences, but this depends on NHLS themselves. So we never really know when the internship will come out. I cannot speak for the private labs. I don't know when their intakes are. Our advice is to always check, and when we get notification that they're looking for interns, we'll also post it on our pages and everywhere. But at the moment, we don't have specific times.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Gino?
So sorry.
Oh, sorry, Prof.
If I can advise any new job seeker, put your head up. Ensure that they know of you. Send your CV. Send a letter of motivation with the CV. Ensure that the CV is without spelling mistakes, that it is clearly who you are, what your motives are, and get your CV in there so that even if there's a waiting list, that you ask, please let me know when you are going to advertise a position, because the advertising of the post and the positions is not with the CMS, but is with the training facilities. And the number of posts at the training facility is determined with a ratio of the trainers that qualify in that program. So if you theoretically have 2 training positions, then it means that you should have 1 or 2 senior scientists that's qualified to be scientists. So the number of training positions is determined by the number of trainers that's qualified to train in that scientific program. So get your information out there, make yourself visible, and find out, do the legwork, and get your CV in. Whether it's beforehand, whether it's a year beforehand, but rather be proactive than wanting somebody to give you something. Thank you.
Thanks, Prof. And then after Gino Nombuso, we'll try and get to the Q&A questions that were on the chats.
As you were, and thanks again for the opportunity. I just like to highlight 3 main things. Firstly, I think there is a confusion about HPCSA. Sometimes they get complaints that are not necessarily directed to them. I like to highlight that they are the regulator, Prof. I mean, she'll try to explain a number of times, so they deal with the profession-related matters. So most of the issues that are also happening when it comes to opportunities and employability and trainings, it also goes into training institution. So on the BSc side, I think we have at AIMS, we have established a very good platform. We have an opportunity page on the resource center. So where there are opportunities that require HPCSA registration, and most they don't require HPCSA registration, they've got different requirement. So that can be helpful while the opportunities to enter into an internship program. they are quite limited. And on the side of registered qualified medical scientists, yes, it's also a part of our mission to try and expand and make a strategic partnership and relation and collaborations so that the scope of, the opportunities, they are not only maybe limited to NHLS and few of private diagnostic labs. Currently, we have had an engagement with the South African National Drug Services as one of a potential employer who can take a medical scientist as well. And I also like to emphasize that AIMS is still a very relatively new organization, but we are actively trying to create a good partnership with all of the key role players, because we all have different paths. Some they would like to further their research, some they would like to be in a diagnostic environment, some they would love to join the industry. So if we can achieve this goal of bringing everyone together, in the near future, we will have less of these challenges. So what I would like to say is that AIMS is really doing something. It acts as an essential and missing piece that we're talking about as an advocacy, that where as a member of AIM or as a scientist, where can you work? So, we haven't closed that gap now, but we are quite aware. And that's why we have created this collaborative effort. And I'm excited at the fact that, our attendees for this event is quite diverse, because if you look at the pictures of people who are driving the movement at this stage, they are quite very young, but we don't want to remain young. We require mentorship and support from professors, from doctors, from people who have been in the field for quite some time. So what we have done is to create a structure or a platform where all these issues can be addressed. So with that, I am inviting the professors, the doctors, different expertise to come and join us. At the moment, AIMS is operating with an ad hoc writers team. We don't have, we haven't established the board, the council, we haven't established the executive as well as the administration. So that's where now we require all these different skill sets, all these different mindsets, different people with different expertise. So with that, I'm trying to highlight that AIMS, it's one to bring everyone together, and we believe that we need people who are experienced to come and lead the organization. There are certain subcommittees which are discipline specific that need to be addressed. That need to be established within the organization. And that's when we really need the guidance of senior scientists, researchers, people who have been in the industry for a very long time. If you look at the smart and CMSA, they have less of these issues because they have these old established organizations which deal with these matters, and you find that technologies, they don't have much complaints as you have, as well as the medical doctors. So I would like to just end there. Thank you.
Thank you so much to all our speakers and all the questions. So we did have some questions on the chat box, but I think some of these questions have been addressed. And if you feel like your question was not answered, you're very much welcome to send us an email. I think one of the questions was to Bianca regarding the disciplines in the category of medical biological sciences. If she means that they are on rotational basis, so as in like some disciplines are they not available each year? I'm not sure if we'll be able to get the answer. Is Bianca still?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Yes.
So as Prof. Haser also mentioned, we only see the statistics coming along, but it's based on the institution training programs. And remember, your internship is a 24-month period. So it won't probably be every year, but there would be a rotational basis based on the institution availability of posts. So I hope that answers the question. So we as the CMS only see the statistics coming through based on portfolio of evidences, but we are not in charge of how many posts an institution can offer. That's only what they are able to offer, like Prof. Hazer has mentioned before.
Okay, thank you, Bianca. I hope the anonymous was answered. So I think now, yeah, we're way over time. I'm gonna hand over to Mr. Madamela to close off for us. I think there's one last thing and then we'll be done. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. So I just wanted to share with you our website. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so like it was said before, so this is non-profit or organization. So we'd like to ask for donation for our day-to-day working, and so this is how you can donate to us. So on our website there is a donation page, as you can see, and then it will take you to this page where you can donate, and then you can also read what we do and why we need such donations. And you can click here, donate, and then it will lead you to a snap scan, and then you can donate as per the instruction on the previous on this page here. So yeah, and I just wanted to also thank everyone who attended, who joined today's launch, and to mark the beginning of our course. And thank you so much for attending. Over to you, Chair.
So thank you so much to all our speakers, our guests, and all the attendees. So please be on the lookout on our page, on our LinkedIn page for jobs and webinars. And for all the questions again that we didn't get to answer today, please do email us or send us a message on our LinkedIn page, and we'll try and address all the questions there. Thank you so much. Have a lovely Saturday.
Thank you. Bye.